My husband ordered me to use the secret elixir I had painstakingly concocted to save his beloved. I told him there was only one dose left, enough to cure the strange poison within him. He dismissed my words. Without Wan, what meaning is there in living alone? Later, when the poison ravaged his body, leaving it festering, he demanded I brew another dose. I shook my head. There is only one in the world, and I have already given it to you to save Miss Wan. He refused to believe it, imprisoning me instead. Each time he suffered a pang of pain, he tortured me with a single stroke of the cleaver. In the end, I bled dry and died. Reborn, I told him, Wan's blood, nourished by the potion, is the finest medicinal substance. Drink her blood dry, and you shall be healed. I was reborn at the moment I brewed the potion for Jiangqinshu. The excruciating pain that tore through my heart at death still seemed to crawl over my skin, making my hands shake violently. I was just moments away from placing that most precious blood bee into the alchemy furnace. I clutched the herb tightly to my chest, the one I'd risked blindness to obtain through endless hardship. My chance at redemption in this life depended on it. My luck always fell just short. Had I been reborn before marrying Jiangqinshu, I would never have set foot in this hellish marquis mansion, rife with treachery. But I refused to despair. At least I have a chance to rewrite my life. Just like last time, the moment my pills were ready, Jiangqinshu arrived. He thrust out his large hand them over. I need them to save Wan. To prove the medicine's authenticity, I clutched it tightly to my chest, tears welling in my eyes. Husband, I poured my heart and soul into refining this to save you. There's only one in the world. I want to grow old with you. He snatched it away. I clung desperately to his arm, sobbing bitterly, no. This is for you. It cost me half my life. If you give it to someone else, you betray me. Jiangqinshu was utterly resolute. Without Wan, what meaning is there in my survival alone? He violently flung me aside and fled swiftly with the medicine. I stood up, brushed the dust from my dress, and exhaled a long sigh of relief. This fake medicine, Su Wanlian couldn't possibly consume it, because she wasn't even ill. Her purpose in entering the mansion was to monopolize Jiangqinshu's affection, kill me to become his legitimate wife, and then eliminate Jiangqinshu. The elderly and frail Lady Jiang was no match for her. Once she seized control of the marquisate, she would fly away with her beloved penniless scholar. She revealed all this to me as I lay dying in my previous life, her plan to murder me and torment my spirit, ensuring I died with eyes wide open. I couldn't care less about this marquisate. Since someone wishes to die beneath a beauty's blossoms, I'll grant him his wish. I sent my personal maid, Kai Jin, to the streets to broadcast Jiangqinshu's infidelity, how he favored his concubine while destroying his wife. She was to weep all the way from the front alley to the gates of my maternal home, the Earl's mansion. If the mansion refused entry, she was to wail at the door for at least an hour. My father had deeply loved my mother. Otherwise, he wouldn't have defied societal norms to marry her, a commoner herbalist, as his legitimate wife. He shut himself away from the world, living only with my mother, devoted to her for a lifetime. Even after my mother's death, he cherished me, his only legitimate daughter, like a precious treasure. In my previous life, it was only after being imprisoned by Jiangqinshu that I learned, after I married into the Marquis's household, to sever my escape route. Jiangqinshu sent countless concubines to my father. Among them, concubine Jin bore a striking resemblance to my mother, pleasing my father's tastes. He became utterly captivated by her, entrusting all household affairs to her management. As Jiangqinshu's confidant, consort Jin blocked my pleas for help whenever possible. Even when I was persecuted to death by Jiangqinshu, my father never came to my rescue. This time, if I send Kai Jin back to seek help, consort Jin will surely intercept her. But if it becomes common knowledge, my father will have no choice but to intervene. Kai Jin returned at dusk, weeping at the Earl's mansion gate as I had instructed. She pleaded that I had devoted myself entirely to the Marquis, neglecting sleep and meals to refine medicines, only for him to beat me senseless over his new concubine, leaving me gravely ill. The gatekeeper retorted that a daughter married out is like water poured out, whether I live or die is my husband's decision. Her sobs drew a crowd who cried out in outrage on my behalf. Fearing gossip, concubine Jin finally let Kai Jin in. Alas, my father was not at home. I gently stroked Kai Jin's swollen face. You've truly endured so much. Kai Jin shook her head. I grew up with you since childhood, miss. I know the principle that we rise and fall together. In my past life, Jiang Qinshu, fearing word of his plot against me would leak, silenced Kai Jin and dumped her in the mass grave. This time, I will fight for a splendid future for both of us, ensuring those who harm us meet a bitter end. Kai Jin gritted her teeth in fury. That young master is truly ungrateful. If not for your tireless efforts to cure his poison, he might not even be alive today, let alone inherit the Marquis title. Barely 3 years into their marriage, and he treats you like this, what an ingrate. Jiang Qinshu was originally the second son of the Marquis' household, with an identical twin brother. When the Marquise was pregnant with them, her personal maid attempted to seduce the old Marquis but failed, so she poisoned her instead. Imperial physicians saved the twins, but the Marquise perished. Born covered in purple bruises, the twins survived through the old Marquis' search for renowned doctors. Though their lives were preserved, every 3 months they suffered the torment of the toxin's erosion. At 13, my father took me to visit the Marquis' estate, where I encountered Jiang Qinshu in the throes of his poison relapse. Before my mother passed, she left me a protective pill, claiming it possessed life-restoring powers. Watching Jiang Qinshu and his brother teetering on the brink of death, I could only choose one. 15-year-old Jiang Qinshu clasped my hand tightly, declaring love at first sight. He lamented his own unworthiness, vowing to be reborn with a healthy body to marry me in glory. Moved by his earnest gaze and sorrowful words, I gave him the life-saving pill my mother had left. Jiang Qinshu survived, while his brother succumbed to the poison. In my past life, Jiang Qinshu committed every act of humiliation against me for Su Wanlian's sake. When I accused him of being faithless and heartless, he spat out in fury, if it weren't for needing to cure my poison, I'd never have chosen you, the daughter of a mere titular earl's household, as my primary wife, even with my eyes closed. He laid it all bare. Even my saving him with that life-saving pill had been orchestrated by the Marquis' household. The old Marquis scoured the land for renowned physicians. Upon learning that the sole heir of the Medicine King Valley, my mother, had tragically died young after marrying into the Earl's household, and discovering I possessed a life-saving pill, he orchestrated a visit. My father brought me to their estate, where we chanced upon Jiang Qinshu suffering a poison attack and saved him. Alas, the pill's effect fell short of its reputed power to neutralize all toxins. Though Jiang Qinshu survived, he remained tormented by the poison's sporadic flare-ups. The old Marquis was convinced that, having inherited my mother's true teachings, I would surely find a way to cure his beloved husband. Thus, he arranged for Jiang Qinshu to marry me. Had that pill cured Jiang Qinshu's poison back then, the Marquis' household would never have given me a second glance. I never intended to scheme against anyone. All I ever wanted was to live a peaceful, carefree life. But they refused to leave me alone. Well, then, we'll see who comes out on top. Your lordship, the lady is unwell and requires rest. She specifically instructed the servant that she wishes to see no one. I was roused by Kai Jin's urgent voice outside the door. Jiang Qinshu was coming, there was no stopping him. I quickly burrowed under the covers, rubbing my eyes until they stung red. Moments later, Saijin's shrieks echoed outside as Jiang Qinshu strode in. He yanked back my blankets and bellowed, "You poisonous woman. You sent the maid to spread lies that I wronged you. This is your revenge. You can't stand seeing me treat Wanwan well." I sat up, my voice breaking with tears. "Shu Lang, you may despise me, but you cannot slander me. Since marrying you, I've never stepped outside the gates. I've spent every day researching how to cure your poison. To obtain that blood bee, I nearly had my eyes gouged out. My devotion to you is as clear as day and night. Have you forgotten the agony when the poison struck? Like 10,000 ants gnawing at your flesh. Wan's ailment is merely a heart condition, ordinary medicine and time will cure her. But you..." I clutched my chest, feigning unbearable anguish. "You'd endure life-threatening torment just to hasten her recovery, even risking your own life." Recalling the agony of the poison's onset, Jiang Qinshu's body trembled involuntarily. He tentatively asked, "You can still concoct the medicine, right?" I shook my head. The formula is simple, but the ingredients are impossible to find. Even if you killed me, I could never locate Yaoqi blood bees again. Jiang Qinshu frowned deeply. Whether he grasped the gravity of losing this elixir or simply couldn't process it, he said nothing more and hurriedly turned away. No sooner had I finished lunch than Su Wanlian came strutting into my courtyard to flaunt her power. Having spent so long in the alchemy chamber, with its pungent medicinal scent and horde of rare venomous creatures, she'd feared accidents and dared not approach. Now that I'd returned to Bamboo Purity Courtyard, she seized the chance to humiliate me face to face. The Marquis would forsake even a life-saving elixir for me, she declared. That alone should show how deeply he loves me. I care little for the position of primary wife. A woman's greatest happiness lies in her husband's affection. A faint smile played on my lips. Disappointment clouded Su Wanlian's face. I replied calmly, love in times of wealth and ease is cheap. Only when life hangs in the balance, and he still treasures you above all else, that is true love. He hasn't suffered the poison's effects yet, he'd give anything now. But when that day comes, do you think he'll regret giving you the medicine? Su Wanlian hadn't expected that not only did her words fail to provoke me, but I had silenced her instead. She stubbornly lifted her chin. Anyway, the Marquis doesn't like you now. You're no different from a discarded wife. I can't be bothered to argue with you. I sneered, but I intend to argue. As soon as the words left my mouth, I deliberately slammed my head against the edge of the nearby table, instantly swelling a large lump on my forehead. Su Wanlian scoffed dismissively, you'd resort to such a clumsy trick? Even if I really did push you, the Marquis would protect me. I shot her a withering glance. This injury isn't for the Marquis to see. Shortly after, a servant reported, Madam, Eunuch Liang from the palace has arrived, specifically requesting to see you. Quickly, usher Eunuch Liang in. At this time in my previous life, the Crown Prince lay gravely ill within the palace, with court physicians utterly helpless. To devote myself entirely to curing Jiang Qinshu's poison, I concealed my identity as the descendant of the Medicine King. The Marquis's household, seeking to control me, also went to great lengths to hide my abilities in alchemy and healing, trapping me within these deep, secluded walls. Beyond spreading rumors about Jiang Qinshu favoring his concubine over his wife, Kai Jin also had people spread tales that I was the descendant of the Medicine King, capable of curing all ailments. She claimed my blood bees were reserved solely for the Crown Prince. In my previous life, the Crown Prince passed away shortly after falling ill. I never truly understood the cause. Trapped between two grand mansions for my entire existence, this time around, I am determined to break free and seek a life of true freedom. When Eunuch Liang saw me, he paused in surprise before asking, you are the Marquis's wife who can heal? I curtsied to Eunuch Liang. My mother was a master of pharmacology and taught me some remedies for healing the sick. Very well. Come with me at once. With palace officials summoning me, no one in the estate dared to stop me. I followed Eunuch Liang out of the Marquis's residence with my head held high. This was my first encounter with Crown Prince Li Jinyu. I'd only heard of his graceful demeanor before, but his striking beauty left me momentarily transfixed. Though I'd lived 2 lifetimes, I'd been confined to the Earl's and Marquis's estates. Jiang Qinshu had been the most handsome young man I'd ever seen, until now, when I realized there are always greater heights to climb and more talented individuals to meet. Lost in admiration, I snapped back to reality at Eunuch Liang's prompting. Li Jinyu extended his hand. Eunuch Liang urged, hurry and examine His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. I do not take pulses, I explained respectfully, kneeling on the ground. This servant diagnoses illnesses through blood analysis. How insolent! Eunuch Liang snapped. His Royal Highness's noble body must not be harmed. Li Jinyu raised his hand. Set aside those formalities. Take the blood. His handsome face was gaunt and haggard. If we delayed any longer, he might not survive. There was no time for formalities. I drew blood with a silver needle, only to discover something peculiar. The poison in his blood was similar to the one in Jiang Qinshu's, yet distinctly different. Earlier, to identify the source of the poison, I had drunk Jiang Qinshu's blood and tested antidotes based on my body's reactions. Li Jinyu's symptoms mirrored my own back then. Direct and indirect poisoning manifest differently in the bloodstream. That's why the first antidote I concocted only neutralized the toxin in my own body, buying Jiang Qinshu half a year of stability. I could cure his poison, but not all at once. Otherwise, he'd be sent back to the Marquis's mansion immediately. I knelt and reported, "Your Majesty, I can cure the prince's illness, but it will take time." After speaking, I furrowed my brow and feigned fainting. Li Jinyu acted swiftly, reaching out to support me. Unexpectedly, his body was weak, and fearing he might not steady me, he pulled me tightly into his embrace. I caught the faint scent of ambergris on his skin and felt the scorching heat radiating from his chest. An uncontrollable flutter stirred within me. I couldn't move, any movement would give me away. The imperial physician arrived swiftly. Upon examining the wound on my hand and the scar on my forehead, he reported, "Merely superficial injuries. Rest and recuperation will suffice." Rumors swirled outside that Jiang Qinshu favored his concubine over his wife. Li Jinyu feared that if he sent me back, I might vanish, leaving his illness utterly incurable. Still, he tentatively asked, "Would you be willing to return to the Marquis's residence?" Tears welled in my eyes. "If this humble wife cures your highness, I beg for one favor. I never wish to return to the Marquis's mansion to endure a life of humiliation." "Rise first." Li Jinyu offered no commitment, likely wanting to see if I could truly cure him. At least during my treatment of him, I was safe. I calculated the days. Jiang Qinshu's poison should be acting up soon. Within days, Jiang Qinshu came to the Eastern Palace seeking me. Peering from behind the screen, I saw dark circles under his eyes. Clearly, he hadn't slept well. He insisted on taking me home, claiming affairs at the mansion required my attention. Li Jinyu refused. She is now this crown prince's personal physician. She must not leave the Eastern Palace. Please return, Marquis. I shall ensure the Marquis's safety. He then advised Jiang Qinshu, domestic harmony brings prosperity. Do not let other women disrupt your marital bond. Jiang Qinshu nodded, but realizing that my stay in the palace meant he might suffer the toxin's erosion, he pleaded, "Your Highness, I deeply love my wife and cannot bear to part from her. I implore your understanding." Eunuch Liang, standing nearby, rebuked Jiang Qinshu, "Which is more important, the crown prince's health or your marital affection?" The prince merely requested the Marquis's wife to treat him in the Eastern Palace. Are you disregarding his highness's illness? Jiang Qinshu knelt in supplication, "This subject dares not." Li Jinyu cut him short, "It is settled. Father had told me the palace was full of strict rules, where the slightest misstep could cost one their life. I could only stay confined to my room, with palace attendants fetching any medicinal herbs I needed. Outside the window, lush blossoms bloomed, their fragrance overwhelming. I stood there for a long time, suddenly realizing how much of my prime years I'd wasted, buried in piles of herbs, squandering my time for an ungrateful fool. Looking back now, it truly wasn't worth it. Li Jinyu had appeared outside the window without my noticing. He asked, "If you enjoy it so much, why not step outside?" "Your Highness, this humble servant dares not." He beckoned me with a smile. The mimosa flowers bloom splendidly in the courtyard. Would you care to admire them with me? Li Jinyu's smile was gentle, reminiscent of Jiang Qinshu from long ago. Yet I couldn't help but wonder if he too would turn on a dime like Jiang Qinshu. Walking beside him, I felt as if treading on thin ice. A breeze stirred, sending flower fluff dancing through the air. A strand landed on my hairpin. I reached up to brush it away, but Li Jinyu stopped me. "Don't move. It looks quite lovely." After I administered some medicine, he slept soundly and awoke looking much healthier, his features appearing even more handsome and refined. He asked me, "Why haven't I seen you at any banquets?" Every year, the high-ranking officials and nobles of the capital host various banquets to entertain the young masters and ladies of prominent families, fostering relationships and seeking allies. From the moment they became aware, the children of these households, regardless of gender, would naturally interact and form connections. Li Jinyu pondered earnestly for a long moment. "I have absolutely no recollection of you." I gave a wry smile. My father forbade me from going out. Though my father held a high noble title, he wielded no real power. An orphan, he had fought alongside the current emperor in life-and-death battles during his youth. Later, while saving the emperor, he suffered severed tendons and nearly became crippled. Grateful for his service, the emperor granted him a title to enjoy wealth and honor. Later, for reasons unknown, father offended the emperor. With no influential relatives to rely on and having married a wife without noble lineage, our household fell into obscurity. A man of principle, father refused to associate with the powerful, content to live quietly behind closed doors. I hadn't strolled through the gardens in ages. After walking a while, a fine sheen of sweat formed on my forehead. Li Jinyu suggested, "Let's sit in that pavilion over there. I'll have the palace attendants prepare some refreshments." Just then, someone rushed in with urgent news, "Your Highness, something terrible has happened to Her Majesty the Empress." Li Jinyu's heart sank. He took my hand and said, "You must come with me to the Jiaofeng Palace immediately." As we reached the palace entrance, piercing screams of agony erupted from within, sending chills down my spine. Inside, we discovered the screams belonged to none other than Her Majesty the Empress. When I saw her face, disbelief washed over me. Her complexion, dark and greenish, mirrored Jiang Qinshu's agony when his poison took hold. A suspicion took root in my mind. Could it be that the Li dynasty had offended some poison god or poison king? From the empress and crown prince down to the ministers, perhaps others were also poisoned, condemned to live out their days in broken bodies, clinging to life by a thread. Li Jinyu pleaded with me, "Countless renowned physicians have been summoned to the palace, yet no remedy has worked. You must save my mother." Tears of desperation glistened in his eyes. I needed the empress's blood. Li Jinyu stepped forward to support her, gesturing for me to approach and draw the blood. As I approached with my silver needles, the empress suddenly lunged at me, her hands clamping around my throat. "Die! Die!" she screamed. Had it been anyone else, I would have kicked them away. But this was Her Majesty. Harming her would cost me more than 10 lives. I could only freeze, letting her choke me. Her frenzied face resembled a demon. Li Jinyu and the palace maid struggled to pry her off and guide her back to the bed. The moment she released me, I collapsed onto the floor, coughing uncontrollably. Eunuch Liang hurriedly escorted me back to the Eastern Palace. After calming the Empress, Li Jinyu personally brought me a soothing herbal decoction. I began inquiring about the Empress's illness. "I need to prescribe the right remedy. Your Highness, please tell me truthfully, when did Her Majesty fall ill, and where did this affliction originate?" Li Jinyu hesitated briefly before saying, "The poison in mother's body dates back 20 years. As for who administered it, that is a forbidden topic within the palace. No one dares speak of it." It took me considerable effort to uncover even a fraction of the truth. Her Majesty the Empress was born to the general of the state. At her birth, a wandering monk prophesied she was destined for great wealth and honor, possessing the bearing of a queen who would rule the realm. Yet her fate was fraught with hardship and calamity. To avert this, a scapegoat was needed to bear the misfortune. As fate would have it, this substitute was the descendant of the Poison Queen. Jealous of the Empress's imperial grace and unwilling to accept a shared fate with different destinies, she poisoned the Empress. At the time, the Empress was pregnant. The Emperor sought renowned physicians far and wide, saving the Crown Prince's life, but the poison could not be eradicated. All these years, the Empress has suffered the torment of the toxin's erosion, confined to her sickbed day after day. I wondered, what of the Poison Queen's descendant? Where had she gone? I heard she died, killed by my own father, the Emperor, with his own hand. Jiang Qinshu arrived, his face deathly pale. Kneeling at the palace gate, he pleaded with the Crown Prince to let me return home with him. He tried desperately to conceal it, but I could still see the greenish tint on his cheeks, ravaged by the poison. I wonder if, when the poison strikes him, he'll resent that beloved concubine who ate his life-saving pill. I imagine he'll only feel pity for her, and then hate me even more, hate me for being unable to cure his poison. Of course, I cannot return with him. What awaits me there is only torture and torment. Li Jinyu, having pledged to protect me, naturally refused. The Marquis's wife is to remain in the palace temporarily to treat His Highness the Crown Prince and Her Majesty the Empress. No objections shall be tolerated. Jiang Qinshu, clearly prepared for this, immediately flushed red and spoke with a trembling voice, "Your Highness, it is not that I refuse to allow the lady to treat you and Her Majesty. I simply miss her so deeply. If I could bring her back to the mansion for a brief reunion, I would send her back the very next day. If your Highness refuses, it would be tantamount to stealing my wife." As Li Jinyu hesitated, I spoke from behind the screen. Your servant's wife is willing to return home with her husband for a reunion. If the crown prince were forced onto the moral high ground of forcibly taking a servant's wife, a violation of ethical norms, I would inevitably be abandoned. In the short term, I would find no one to protect me. I stepped slowly out from behind the screen, curtsied to the crown prince, then walked down to the hall floor and knelt side by side with Jiang Qinshu. I quietly scattered the medicinal powder to the side. Just as Jiang Qinshu was about to express his gratitude, his eyes suddenly turned bloodshot. He lunged at me. I'll kill you, you vile woman. Die. I feigned weakness, letting him grip my shoulders without resistance, tears streaming down my face. Then, in terror, I cried out, Don't hit me, Your Grace. I don't know what I've done wrong. Why are you beating me again? Beating his lawful wife without cause in front of the crown prince, Jiang Qinshu was immediately thrown into the dungeon. I thought I could finally live peacefully in the Eastern Palace for a while, but unexpectedly, the Empress pleaded with the Emperor and had Jiang Qinshu released. The Empress even rebuked Li Jinyu in front of the Emperor, saying he shouldn't have kept a minister's wife in the Eastern Palace. She claimed Jiang Qinshu and I shared a deep, inseparable bond, which was why he had lost his composure before the throne. She even ordered palace attendants to escort me back to the Marquis's residence immediately. Just then, Li Jinyu collapsed to the ground, his face contorted in agony. Eunuch Liang cried out, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has been poisoned. Hurry and send him back to the Eastern Palace for treatment. Eunuch Liang knelt before the Emperor, pleading, Only the Marquis's wife can cure His Highness's poison. We humbly request Your Majesty's gracious permission for her to go to the Eastern Palace now to treat His Royal Highness. After all, he was his own son. The Emperor could not stand by and watch his child die for the sake of a subject. He nodded, Go. Once he is cured, return her to the Marquis residence. Back in the Eastern Palace, Li Jinyu sat there calmly. Only then did I realize the agony of the poison's effects had been feigned. He was doing everything in his power to keep me by his side for a few more days. A wave of warmth washed over me. In this world, 3 people treated me with the warmth of the sun. One was my late father. One was the former Jiang Qinshu. One forgot his mother, forgot me, the moment he acquired a beautiful concubine. The other feigned affection, treating my life as worthless chaff. The third was the man before me now. Yet this warmth proved fleeting, destined to vanish soon. I declared firmly, Rest assured, I will cure you before I depart. The blood bee in my hand could save only one, either the Crown Prince or Her Majesty the Empress. I weighed who could become my steadfast pillar of support. The Empress Dowager would never protect me now. I resolved to stake everything on Li Jinyu. I took the hidden pill from my robe and placed it in his palm. Take it with warm water. But I hesitated before adding, but it still lacks a crucial ingredient, a pure, untainted catalyst. Li Jinyu inquired curiously, What kind of medicine is this? I'll have the palace attendants search for it immediately. My face flushed as I lowered my head. It's a medicinal essence that emanates from my own body. My mother was the daughter of the medicine king. After my birth, to ensure my health and safety, she concocted elixirs for me to consume. My skin carries a natural medicinal fragrance. This body scent serves as a catalyst, enhancing the efficacy of certain medicines. My body heals faster than others. In my past life, when Jiang Qinyu subjected me to slow execution, my own healing ability prolonged my agony before death. At my words, Li Jinyu flushed. This is inappropriate. I hastened to explain, no physical contact is needed. Just staying close. He still shook his head. If word gets out, how will you ever hold your head up again? A woman's reputation is more precious than her life. But I believed life mattered more than reputation. Remembering the agony of having flesh scraped and bones scraped clean in my past life, I vowed to live well. Even if no man ever wanted me, I could live freely on my own. Besides, I was gambling. After spending the night with him, might he feel a shred of compassion? Even if I returned to the Marquis's mansion, perhaps he would still protect me. That night, he dismissed all palace guards from the Eastern Palace, leaving only 2 trusted bodyguards at the door. Li Jinyu lay down beside me fully clothed, deliberately maintaining a fist's length between us. His eyes remained tightly shut, signaling his intention not to violate my goodwill. All candles were extinguished, plunging the room into pitch darkness. The air carried a faint medicinal scent. Yet I could hear his rapid heartbeat. Sleepless, my heart brimmed with fear and worry. I had exhausted every effort. Could I still not escape the fate of my past life? He asked cautiously, "Are you crying?" His words made me realize my own eyes were already wet. I could only offer a vague reply, "I miss my mother. When I was little, sleeping beside her was when I felt most at peace." In the darkness, Li Jinyu let out a long sigh. After a long moment, he spoke, "My mother never seemed to care for me. I was raised by my wet nurse. She scarcely ever looked at me. Even on my birthdays each year, she visited me only a handful of times." His voice carried a wistful longing for affection. His words stirred my doubts once more. Yesterday, when the empress scolded him for keeping me in the palace and ordered the attendants to send me back to the marquis's residence immediately, I had already begun to suspect. What mother would watch her son poisoned beyond cure, yet shield an unrelated minister? Considering the poison on the empress matched Jiang Qinshu's, could they be the true mother and son? Moreover, that day was my first meeting with the empress, yet she rushed toward me as if she knew me. I finally fell asleep late into the night. When I awoke, I found myself in a side hall, my garments faintly scented with Li Jinyu's dragon's breath perfume. Could it be he carried me here? If anyone had seen me lying in the crown prince's bed at dawn, my reputation would have been utterly ruined. He truly is a very, very good man. When the palace maid came to help me wash and dress, Li Jinyu appeared with a rosy complexion and radiant energy, a stark contrast to the man I'd first met. He seemed even more like a graceful orchid in a jade tree, pure as a clear breeze and bright moon. Li Jinyu reassured me, "Return home without worry. I'll send secret guards to protect you." I boarded the carriage with Jiang Qinshu. Inside, he gripped my wrist tightly, "As long as you remain my wife, you'll never escape me." His hand trembled violently, likely from enduring the torment of toxins these past days. At the door of the marquis's residence, Su Wanlian stood dressed in splendid robes, flamboyant and showy, waiting to greet us. She was flaunting her status. Though merely a concubine, she now enjoyed greater prestige and privilege than a legitimate wife. I sneered inwardly. Soon enough, her joy would fade. Jiang Qinshu dragged me straight to the alchemy chamber. "You have 3 days," he warned. "Fail to concoct the antidote, and I'll take your life." I spread my hands in resignation, adopting a resigned expression. "Even if you gave me 3 years, I couldn't concoct it. I can no longer find the medicinal ingredient blood bee. If I truly had to search the entire realm of the Great Dynasty, it would likely take a decade." He didn't believe me. "Ning Chu, you're lying to me, aren't you? You hate me for loving Wan Wan. You resent me for treating her well." I didn't want to anger him, nor bring disaster upon myself. My eyes welled up with tears. "Do you know why I stayed in the Eastern Palace and refused to return? I hoped that by curing his illness, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince would help me find the blood bee. He has already sent people out, but the world is vast, and the search is incredibly difficult." After speaking, I began to sob. "I don't hate you. I just feel regret. The medicine I poured my heart and soul into making for you, you gave it to someone else. You'd even sacrifice your own life to make another woman happy." Jiang Qinshu's face drained of color. It seemed he still feared that agony of 1,000 ants gnawing at his heart. But he had vastly overestimated me. Perhaps I had always skirted the truth when telling him I would cure him. I paused before adding, "But there is another way." Though what?" he pressed. "The elixir Wanner consumed has already entered her bloodstream, becoming one with her. To lessen your suffering, you must use blood as medicine. Yet the potion's efficacy has been absorbed by Wanner. You must consume a decade's worth to purge all toxins from your body. 10 years, enough for Su Wanlian to experience the agony of neither living nor dying." Jiang Qinshu hesitated. "You're lying to me, aren't you? You want me to hurt Wan Wan. Think whatever you like." I wore a look of utter despair. "Perhaps you could just kill me outright." Jiang Qinshu wavered, yet dared not act rashly. He left with a curt, "Stay put," before sweeping his sleeve away. This morning, Kai Jin told me that Jiang Qinshu had been resting with Lady Wan. In the dead of night, overcome by unbearable pain, he took a knife and carved a long gash into Lady Wan's arm. She wept all night, throwing Ilian courtyard into chaos. I had just finished breakfast when Jiang Qinshu entered. His complexion had returned to normal, indicating he now believed Wan's blood could alleviate his pain. That incomplete elixir still held some efficacy, at least enough to placate him for several months. Jiang Qinshu drew his sword and pressed it against my throat. I give you 3 months. If you cannot concoct an antidote, I will kill you. I pressed my neck against his blade. You can kill me now. Jiang Qinshu, don't push your luck. Father's voice suddenly echoed from the doorway. I looked up to see Father standing there, eyes blazing with fury. Our Earl's residence may not match your Marquis' estate, but we won't be pushed around. Father grabbed my arm. Come. Let's go home. Jiang Qinshu blocked our path. This is the Marquis' residence. You cannot come and go as you please. My father remained unflinching, producing the auspicious cloud token. To see this token is to see the Emperor himself. Dare to obstruct us again, and you commit treason. I suspected this token was given to Father by Li Jinyu, intended to protect me. Back at the Earl's residence, I reproached Father. Father, do you even remember Mother? Remember me? If the Crown Prince hadn't sent someone to find you, I could have died in the Marquis' mansion, and you'd never have known. I'm sorry, my child. Father was filled with regret. When the Crown Prince sent the auspicious cloud token, I knew. Some things can't be hidden forever. His grave expression made me sense the gravity of the situation. Your mother was once the Emperor's most favored woman. Only that favor faded before her beauty did. The Emperor abandoned her for the sake of imperial power. 20 years ago, Father served as the Emperor's personal guard. Back then, the Emperor wasn't even Crown Prince, just an unloved prince. They were ambushed while traveling and rescued by my mother. She concealed her identity as the daughter of the Medicine King, disguising herself as a peasant girl. She tended to their wounds, cooked for them, and with her clear spring beauty and gentle, thoughtful nature, she captivated both men. Father was an orphan. Protecting his master could cost him his life at any moment. Knowing he was unworthy of love, he could only silently guard Mother. My mother accompanied the prince, later emperor, as he expanded his territories, tending his wounds and crafting remedies. She loved him wholeheartedly, unaware that imperial power held greater weight in his heart than anything else. To secure the crown prince position, he broke his vow and married the daughter of the former dynasty's chancellor, now the empress. Heartbroken, Mother insisted on leaving, but the selfish man refused, imprisoning her within the palace walls. The Empress always viewed Mother as a thorn in her side, fearing the man wielding imperial power saw her merely as a stepping stone. Seizing the opportunity while the Emperor was away, she hired a witch doctor to poison Mother. After my mother took a fake death potion, the Empress claimed she had committed treason by attempting suicide and had her body dumped in the mass grave. When my father learned of this, he was overcome with grief. He went to the mass grave, found my mother's body, and brought it back to the estate to prepare for a proper burial. After the potion wore off, my mother awoke, and my father was overjoyed. Yet the poison ran too deep. Though she was the daughter of the Medicine King, she could not fully purge the witch doctor's venom. The 5-month-old fetus died within her womb, and her body began to crumble like a collapsing edifice. Father drew his sword and wounded the Empress, earning his banishment. The Emperor, mindful of Father's years of loyal service protecting the throne, granted him a nominal title of Earl but decreed he must never set foot in the palace again. For years, Father sought every possible remedy, yet the witchcraft poison remained within Mother. Her body was no longer fit for childbearing. Out of deep devotion to Father, she bore me. From that day onward, Mother's health steadily declined. When I was 4 years old, she passed away. Father stroked my cheek. You bear a striking resemblance to your mother. I fear nothing more than the Emperor and Empress seeing your face, for it could bring you misfortune. That is why, all these years, I have confined you within these 4 walls, praying only for your safe passage into adulthood. The old Marquis holds great trust from the Emperor and Empress. I thought that if you married into his family, should anything ever happen, they would protect you. Concubine Jin is from the Jiang family. I have always treated her kindly, hoping she might speak well of you should any trouble arise." At this point, father's eyes filled with tears. I misjudged him. I thought that boy was decent, but I never imagined. "If you refuse to return, I'll fight to the death before ever handing you over to them." My own eyes welled up. So father did love me after all, only countless constraints blinded him to it. I asked father, did the empress give birth to twins that year, or only the current crown prince? Father shook his head. When I was expelled from the palace, the empress was only 3 months pregnant. After the current crown prince was born, the emperor granted a general pardon. I never heard of twins. I made a silent resolution. I must uncover whether Jiang Qinshu is truly the empress's son. So I told father, I must return to the marquis's residence. That night, Li Jinyu arrived in disguise. He was puzzled. "I've already devised a plan for your escape. Why must you return to that den of danger? Do you realize that while you're in the marquis's residence, I can hardly intervene in matters within a minister's household? Even with secret guards, they cannot protect you at all times." I knew he would come, so I asked the question that had long troubled me. "If you were not the empress's biological son, what would you do?" He startled. "Where did you get such an assumption?" Li Jinyu and I analyzed it slowly. The poison afflicting Her Majesty the Empress in Jiang Qinshu is identical. Jiang Qinshu's toxin was likely inherited from birth. I heard he was born covered in purple bruises, appearing unlikely to survive long. As empress, without a legitimate heir to rely on, she could scarcely maintain her position. Knowing her poison was incurable and pregnancy unlikely, coupled with having killed the emperor's most favored woman, her favor may well have been severed. She must secure a healthy male heir to guarantee the crown prince's position. She would then send her biological child away for medical treatment. If cured, he could return to the palace. If not, with the crown prince by her side, she would forever remain the sovereign of the harem. The poison in Li Jinyu's body was administered recently. The poisoner, who knew the toxin had no antidote and would slowly consume the body until death, had laced his food and drink with contaminated blood. "I have a bold theory," I questioned Eunuch Liang. "Your health had been robust until poisoning began a month ago. And it was precisely 1 month ago that I obtained the crucial medicinal ingredient, the blood of the Yao Qi bee. The Empress Dowager, likely aware her son's antidote was nearly complete, acted preemptively to eliminate you. Her plan was to later fabricate a story about the prince being stolen by a palace maid and lost among the common folk. By then, you would be dead, and the ministers who supported you would be powerless, leaving no room for maneuver." Upon hearing this, Li Jinyu's expression darkened, his anxiety palpable. That the mother who raised him for 20 years would scheme to poison him, no one could bear such a thought. I urged him, "Your Highness, the hour is late. Please return to the palace promptly to avoid any complications." He shook his head, his eyes pleading. "May I sit by your side for a while?" I led Li Jinyu to the lotus pavilion behind my quarters. I instructed Jin Kai to dismiss the night watchman and lock the courtyard gates, barring entry to anyone. I brewed tea myself and sat beside him. I understood he was clinging to the medicinal scent on my skin, finding it calming and reassuring. "I'm sorry, I know this is improper, but my heart is too chaotic. I just want to be with you for a while. Had I not endured the schemes and torments of my past life, I wouldn't possess this calm composure now." I comforted him. "One must always look forward. Heaven spared us precisely so we might forge a new path from the depths of despair." He gazed at me, his eyes flickering with tender light. His face, bathed in moonlight, appeared even more handsome and dignified. My heart nearly leapt from my chest. I quickly turned away. "What are you looking at, Your Highness?" He gave a bitter smile. "Nothing. Merely pondering how cruel fate can be." Early the next morning, I returned to the marquis's residence. Jiang Qinshu looked surprised to see me. "You're back?" I feigned deep emotion. "My father found the most precious Yao Pool blood bee for me. I rushed back immediately. Refining the medicine will take at least 10 days, but..." I gazed at him expectantly. "This time, don't give it to anyone else. You must get better." Perhaps moved by my earnestness, he stared blankly and said, "All right." For those 10 days, I stayed in the alchemy chamber. Jiang Qinshu sent servants to bring me fine food and drink, even stewing bird's nest for me. Aunt Wan also sent servants with food, all meticulously prepared. I imagine her days without me at the estate were hard, enduring Jiang Qinshu cutting her flesh for blood. She must have been hoping I'd finish the antidote quickly. 10 days later, I handed him a pill. Take this and rest early. By morning, all toxins will be gone, and you'll feel refreshed. He grasped my hand, his voice brimming with joy. Ning Chu, I'll be forever grateful to you. After supper, I excused myself, citing exhaustion, and retired early. In the dead of night, the steward urgently pounded on my courtyard gate, shouting, "Madam, you must come quickly. Something has happened to the Marquis." Feigning alarm, I rose from bed, deliberately leaving my shoes behind, and followed the steward straight to Lady Wan's courtyard. Madame Wan sat disheveled and weeping by the bed, where Jiang Qinshu lay lifeless. Madame Wan pointed at me. "It was you. You poisoned the Marquis." She turned to the steward. "Report it. Quickly, report it to the authorities." No report was made. The next day, the empress arrived. She came without fanfare, dressed in plain clothes, accompanied only by a few trusted palace attendants and guards. Madame Wan was petrified, never imagining the young Marquis's death would summon Her Majesty the Empress. I suspect that after Jiang Qinshu's death in my previous life, Wan'er didn't enjoy freedom for long. The Empress would never permit a lowly concubine to control the Marquis's household. The Empress ordered all servants who had attended Jiang Qinshu to kneel in the hall. The old Marquis stood trembling nearby. I stole a glance at the Empress. Her carefully applied makeup couldn't conceal her gaunt features, likely ravaged by the poisonous curse until she was barely clinging to life. Perhaps she'd been waiting for me to refine the life-saving elixir, only to receive not the medicine but the news of her son's death. The steward tremblingly recounted Jiang Qinshu's death. He had taken the antidote I concocted that morning, only to die in one concubine's bed that night. Everyone expected the Empress to interrogate them one by one. Many glanced furtively around, wondering how they could absolve themselves and avoid being implicated. The Empress raised her hand. "Every soul in this courtyard, kill them all." The moment her words fell, pleas for mercy erupted below. She intended to silence all witnesses. Every past memory would vanish with Jiang Qinshu's death. Perhaps from now on, Li Jinyu would become her only true son. Regardless, she remained the mother of the nation. I quickly shouted my report. "Your Majesty, the young Marquis is not dead. He is merely in a state of feigned death after taking the medicine and will revive shortly." The surrounding area instantly fell silent. The Empress summoned palace attendants to support her as she went to see Jiang Qinshu lying in the coffin. I followed behind, quietly sprinkling the powder. Before long, Jiang Qinshu awoke. He sat up, looking around in astonishment. Aunt Wan disregarded protocol, rushing forward to weep. "Marquis, you've finally awakened. Thank heavens! Had you passed, this concubine would never have lived on alone." After the steward briefly recounted the events to Jiang Qinshu, he glared at me with fury. "Yi Ningchu, you've ruined me." The steward helped Jiang Qinshu out and seated him. He drew a deep breath. It felt like hell. I thought I'd never return. The Empress shifted her gaze to me and demanded harshly, "If you cannot provide this palace with a reasonable explanation, drag him away and execute him by beating." I knelt before the Empress, bowed my head heavily, and said, "The medicine I gave the young Marquis was indeed fake. I had prepared it for Her Majesty the Empress." With tears welling in my eyes, I recounted how I had poured my heart into refining the medicine for Jiang Qinshu, only for him to give the precious elixir to his beloved concubine to cure her common cold. To win her favor, he deliberately scolded and beat me. My mother passed away when I was young. The first time I met Her Majesty the Empress, I felt the warmth of a mother's embrace. That moment, I vowed to cure Her Majesty's illness. Upon returning to the Marquis's residence, I devoted myself entirely to refining the elixir in the alchemy chamber. However, the most precious ingredient, the blood bee from the jade pool, had vanished. I substituted another herb. Though it couldn't fully counteract the poison, it could suppress its effects for 10 years. If Her Majesty sent people to search, 10 years would surely be enough time to find the blood bee again. I possessed only this single pill, intending to present it to Your Majesty. When the young Marquis learned of it, he schemed to obtain it. To protect this precious medicine, I gave him a counterfeit pill instead. This fake pill was not lethal, it merely induced deep slumber. I had planned to use this opportunity to leave the estate and deliver the genuine medicine to the palace, but unexpectedly, Your Majesty arrived first. Saying this, I took out the pill and held it in my hands. The Empress looked skeptical. Truly only this one? Your Majesty, I dare not deceive you. While this medicine cannot fully purge the poison, it will at least ensure 10 years of peace. I lifted my head and saw a glimmer in the Empress's eyes. Turning my head, I saw Jiang Qinshu wore the same look. Having wandered the gates of death and returned from hell, he surely wished never to experience such a journey again in this lifetime. Kneeling, I took 2 steps forward. Your Majesty, please take the medicine immediately. Delay will diminish its efficacy. I pledge the lives of every soul in the Earl's household as my guarantee. This medicine will ease Your Majesty's suffering. I must emphasize, only one pill exists. Refining another depends on fate. I cannot guarantee its availability. The palace attendant beside the Empress quickly reached out to take it, respectfully presenting it before Her Majesty. The personal attendant, having witnessed the Empress's agonizing torment during the poison's onset, suggested, Your Majesty, perhaps you should try it now. This servant believes Lady Ho would not lie. The attendant ordered a nearby maid to fetch warm water. The Empress picked up the pill, examined it closely, and was about to place it in her mouth when Jiang Qinshu suddenly leaped forward, attempting to snatch the pill. I knelt motionless below, a cold smile curling my lips. One a specter freshly returned from the gates of death, the other a soul, though poisoned and near death, still yearning for power and influence. A healthy body and a life free of hardship were their greatest desires. Seeing the attempt to seize the medicine, the Empress clutched the pill tightly in her palm. Jiang Qinshu tried to pry her hand open. Your Majesty, give me the medicine. I cannot bear this agony any longer. Guards rushed to restrain him, but he clung to the Empress like a demon, as if determined to drag her down to hell with him. The Empress naturally refused to let go. She never imagined her son would be so consumed by beauty that he'd risk his life. If she gave him the medicine and cured him, he'd become a fool who betrayed his kingdom for a woman, better to hold power herself. With no other choice, the guard drew his sword and swung at Jiang Qinshu. Jiang instinctively dodged, flinging his arm out with such force that the Empress's frail, weakened body flew like a kite, switching places with him. The blade struck her head squarely, blood spattering instantly. The pill fell to the floor. Jiang Qinshu lunged forward like a rabid dog snatching food, greedily shoving the pill into his mouth. Jiang Qinshu was thrown into the dungeons. Tomorrow, he would be beheaded at the Meridian Gate. With Li Jinyo's permission, I went to the imperial prison to see him. Jiang Qinshu's eyes burned with loathing when he saw me. You venomous woman. I am your husband. Devoting yourself to concocting potions for me was your duty. How dare you scheme against me? Karma will find you. I flashed a defiant smile. Karma will find you first, no matter what. We were husband and wife, after all. Let me see you off. I placed the wine and dishes before him, then gestured for silence. I have a secret to tell you. I spoke clearly, enunciating each word. Had you not given that pill to Consort Wan, but taken it yourself, you would now sit in the Eastern Palace, destined to rule the realm. Alas, all this was lost to your deluded notion of love. Shock filled his eyes, yet he remained perplexed. I recounted the year the Empress was poisoned, giving birth to twins tainted by the toxin. She then orchestrated the swapping of the crown prince with a raccoon cat to secure his position. I described the day he returned, fully recovered. He married me, convinced his plan was flawless. Yet in truth, both he and I had long been pawns in someone else's scheme. I mocked him. The Emperor has harbored resentment toward the Empress for years. He only ordered your execution to spare the Marquis's entire household. Wan's poor scholar failed the imperial exams, and she has already returned to her hometown with him. You loved her so deeply, yet she wouldn't even deign to visit you once. My words pierced his heart like arrows. He roared in fury, you poisonous woman. I'll kill you. But his hands and feet were shackled with iron chains, leaving him utterly immobilized. I waved at him, farewell forever. Father asked about my future plans, and my heart felt lost. Li Jinyu came to see me, expressing his love and hoping I would stay in the Eastern Palace to accompany him. His eyes brimmed with affection, and he was tender and considerate toward me. My heart stirred slightly, but then I thought of the palace, a place far more terrifying than the Marquis's mansion, filled with open and hidden struggles. Weighing the pros and cons, I only wished for a simple, carefree life in my later years. I visited Li Jinyu in the East Palace, also to check if the poison within him had fully dissipated. With his special permission, I could come and go freely in the East Palace. The palace attendants told me he was in Guanshu Garden. He had said he would create a world just for me within the East Palace. Guanshu derives from the line, "The turtle doves coo on the river's isle." Entering Guanshu Garden, I spotted him from afar, standing beneath the winter plum blossoms with eunuch Liang. I tiptoed closer, hoping to surprise him, but overheard him tell eunuch Liang, "Just as you said, she is the one who can help me ascend the throne." Confusion stirred within me. Who was he referring to? Me? Eunuch Liang bowed and reported, "The moment this servant first laid eyes on Lady Ho, I was 7/10 certain she was the daughter of Consort Luo. When I first met Consort Luo, I had just entered the palace and offended the empress, who ordered my execution by beating. It was Consort Luo who saved me. Though I do not serve in her palace, I have always held her safety in my heart. That night, I witnessed it clearly. Her Majesty the Empress ordered Luo Guifei to be restrained and forced to drink poison. Soon after, a green light shot from Luo Guifei's body, striking Her Majesty the Empress directly. The Empress collapsed to the ground. I desperately wanted to save her, but alone and outnumbered, I would only have met my end. Before her death, Consort Luo cursed the Empress, declaring she would die by her own child's hand. Later, Consort Luo's body was discarded in a mass grave. Grateful, I sought to retrieve the remains for proper burial, only to see the Emperor's personal guards carry the body away. This kindled hope within me, that the consort must not be dead, but had escaped through collusion with someone inside. Eunuch Liang pressed his palms together. Seeing Miss Ning Chu fills me with immense joy, but there remains one thing I cannot fathom. How did His Royal Highness the Crown Prince know so early of Her Majesty the Empress's substitution of the prince with a cat, and how did he learn that Miss Ning Chu was concocting the antidote? Could His Royal Highness truly foresee the future? Li Jinyu offered no reply, merely smiling. Consider this crown prince gifted with foresight. My heart lurched. Could he, too, be reborn? In my previous life, he had died young. It was likely that before his death, the Empress had revealed everything, allowing him in this life to proceed with meticulous planning. I turned and hurried away from Guanshu Garden. I had been too naive. In this world, those with high rank and power, what love could they possibly have? It was merely whimsy, ending at the point of self-interest. That evening, Li Jinyu came to my residence again, dressed in plain clothes. He presented an exquisite hairpin, intending to fasten it for me. I crafted this myself. Eager to see you wear it sooner, I rushed over. Kneeling, I bowed my head. Your Highness, this humble maiden has already been wed. To re-enter the Eastern Palace would surely bring shame upon the Crown Prince. I wish to serve as a palace physician, concocting elixirs for your Highness's health to ensure the Empire's enduring stability. I knew he wouldn't easily let me go. I could only survive under his watchful eye. I chose retreat as my advance, planning for the future another day. He reached out to rest his hand on my shoulder, but I deliberately dodged it, showing my resolve. Li Jinyu sighed and straightened up. Very well. As you wish. The end.